Morning everybody, how are we doing? Sam here, MUFC Daily, live on YouTube and Facebook. It is a Monday morning. After a weekend without football, how is everybody doing? Where are you watching it from? As always, let me know in the comments and I'll give you a few shout outs along the way. But let's get straight into it. Today, we're doing an international roundup because lots of Manchester United players have been in action over the last few days. I'm going to give you a roundup of them and then we can discuss the main talking point, which is more injury woes for Manchester United and more specifically, Phil fucking Jones. Anyway, let's get into the international roundup. Anthony Martial, back in the French team. Thank you, Didier Deschamps, for doing your job properly. He's been in spectacular form for Manchester United this season. Now, he came off the bench in France's 2-0 friendly win over Wales. They've already qualified for the World Cup. So they don't need to have any sort of World Cup qualifying knockouts, just like Northern Ireland did. They lost, obviously. He played in that 2-0 win for France, came on the 71st minute. It's just great to see him back in action for France. Well done, Anthony Martial. Rashford and Lingard both in action for England against Germany in the 0-0 draw. Lingard on as a late substitute and had a real opportunity to win the game, but he spurned his opportunity. Now, Jesse Lingard, his movement off the ball is sublime. I'm not sure there's anybody better in this Manchester United team as far as I'm concerned, but his finishing is just not good enough. That's always been the issue with Jesse Lingard, and that was clearly the case against Germany as well. Phil Jones, now he did get injured against Germany. He went off after 25 minutes, I think it was. Went down, similar sort of injury. I can't remember who it was. Was it Huddersfield, I think it was? When Phil Jones went off, roughly after about the same amount of time Victor Lindelof came on, it was definitely Huddersfield. It's when Lindelof made the mistakes. More injury concerns for Jones. I mean, same old story with Phil Jones, isn't it? He plays well, he looks like he's building momentum, he gets an injury. A couple of weeks out, comes back, plays okay, starts building momentum, another injury. Same old story. This is the season when we say yes or no to Phil Jones as a Manchester United player. And I think he's been up there and as good as Eric Bailly has been as a centre-back, but until these injuries go away, he's never, ever, ever going to make it properly at Manchester United. It's such a shame, but it's happened again. Victor Lindelof, he played against Italy, 1-0 win for Sweden against Italy. They play the second leg tonight. And Italy are in danger of not qualifying for the World Cup finals for the first time since 1958. If Sweden can keep a clean sheet, they're through. If Sweden can score one goal, Italy have got to score 3. So Victor Lindelof certainly in for a busy night against Italy. Great news about Romelu Lukaku as well, because he returned to goal-scoring ways. After a little bit of a mini drought for Manchester United, he scored 2 goals against Mexico in a friendly. 2 goals, I think, both headers from crosses. Not sure if I'm right there, but Lukaku back on the score sheet. That is the main thing. And he's now level with Bernard Voorhoff and Paul van Himst with 30 goals as Belgium's all-time leading goal scorer at aged 24. That's both incredible and ridiculous. Incredible for Lukaku, who scored that many goals by 24. Ridiculous that Belgium's top scorer has 30 goals. But one more goal for Lukaku for Belgium, he will become their highest ever goal scorer. So well done to Lukaku there. Romero kept a clean sheet for Argentina in a 1-0 win over Russia. De Gea, he was rested, didn't play. So was Nemanja Matic, he didn't even travel with the Serbia squad. So both of them rested and will be fully fit for the Newcastle game on Saturday. But let's get straight into the comments, see who you guys and girls are watching this from. Loads and loads of comments. We've got Nithin from India, we've got Takul from Zimbabwe, Jaden from Singapore on YouTube, George from Kenya, Guitar 10 Silver from Nepal, Nicholas Evangelou watching from Cyprus. How you doing, buddy? Got Claude watching from Burundi and Shahid watching from Africa, Dave Daniel from Ethiopia, Emmanuel from Guyana, Rashid from Zimbabwe, Osai watching from Portugal, Foad from Melbourne. So many people. Anyway, what about Facebook? Let's head over to Facebook there as well. Got David Wilkinson, good morning to you. Rusty Steele watching from Northern Ireland. I hope you're doing all right today, Rusty, after that real devastating defeat you had against Switzerland. Wasn't even a defeat, it was a 0-0, but enough to knock Northern Ireland out before the World Cup, and all because of a controversial penalty. Roy Andre Berg watching from Norway. We've got RK Menyon watching from Switzerland. Zaki watching from Angola. Sean Paul Gorman watching from Belfast. How you doing, mate? Gassan from Saskatoon. Is that Canada? I think it is. No, I'm thinking of Sasquatch. I don't know where Saskatoon is. And Victor watching from Denmark. Asan watching from Pakistan. Man, Reds properly around the world this morning. But let's talk about the main story. As I said, Phil Jones, somebody who showed so much promise last year, injured, has shown so much promise this year alongside Eric Bailly. You think, that is the Phil Jones that we saw when we signed him from Blackburn, injured. Let me know in the comments now, at what point do we say enough is enough with Phil Jones? Do we have to say, look, we've given you time and time again to prove yourself, to prove your fitness, but we have to move on. We have to get a new centre-back in. We have to move on as a club. At what point does that happen for you? Let me know in the comments there. Got a few people asking about updates on Pogba. As I said in the video on Thursday I think it was, Pogba is set to return for Manchester United against Newcastle on Saturday. 5:30 kickoff at Old Trafford. We need Pogba back as soon as possible. We all know that. We're well aware of that. Whether Pogba will be fit to start or not will be up to Jose Mourinho. And I hazard to guess that Mourinho will probably not start Pogba, but will have him in the squad against Newcastle. Maybe bring him on for 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how the game is going. Maybe a little bit earlier if Manchester United do need a spark and a change in midfield. But Pogba is all set to be fit and back for Manchester United at the weekend. Let's read a few of your comments out about Phil Jones. We've got Gassan saying Phil Jones is a good backup, and so does RK Menon saying he should be a good backup. Gmod Maverick saying that Jones should be second choice. Let's head over to YouTube as well. We've got Veer DRLS saying, will Rojo be fit for the Newcastle game? I don't think he will be, mate, but he should be back hopefully before the end of the year. Nathan George saying Sam is selling Jones and buying Virgil van Dijk, a good move for Manchester United. I think it clearly would be a good move. Virgil van Dijk, one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League last year. It will be a good move for any team to sign Van Dijk, and he clearly wants to leave Southampton as well at some point. Now, we've got someone, Mohammed watching from New Zealand, Aldane watching from Jamaica. Man, this Reds around the world. I love this. Oh, we've also got Anton watching from Wales, keeping it closer to home. Anybody watching from Manchester? Let me know in the comments as well. Let's read a few more out. Got Zlatan updates, asks Brijesh. Zlatan, he is back in training. Not sure whether it's full training or not, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic will be back sooner than we all thought. Definitely before the end of the year. And we've got so many big games coming up in December. We've got Arsenal away. We've got Man City at home. And we've got about 8 or 9 games in a crazy 30-day period. Man United are going to need our whole squad for that. And so as soon as Zlatan Ibrahimovic comes out and back and maybe plays in that number 10 role, that's where I think we might see Zlatan Ibrahimovic this year. The sooner, the better. As always, make sure you drop a like on the video if you're watching and keep leaving your comments. We'll read a few more out before we wrap it up for today's News at 10, which is all about the international roundup. We've got David Wilkinson saying, well said, Rusty, not the players' fault we had a bad ref. We really did. Talking about the Northern Ireland game. Terrible for Northern Ireland, that was. Give a chance to Tuan Zebe, says Arjun. Now, there is something I do agree with. We've got Mufti watching from New York. How you doing, mate? Tuan Zebe was a fantastic captain for Manchester United's under-18s team. Alongside Roshan Williams, and I think Dean Henderson was in goal. Man United kept a clean sheet. They didn't concede for like 630 minutes. It's a record, I think, for the under-18s. Went through into the under-21s and under-23s. He established himself straight away there and was great when he played against Arsenal away, Spurs away last year, in a right-back and sort of defensive midfield role. But give him an opportunity at centre-back, we're going to start seeing the best of Tuan Zebe. Absolutely, I think he deserves an opportunity. That's my own opinion there. You may disagree, but I don't think you do. We've got Abdikarim Kamis watching from Minnesota in USA. How you doing, buddy? 4:30 a.m. there. Very early morning news for you. Got Anton saying, give Tuan Zebe more game time. He will be quality for us. I do agree on that, mate. Bridges Shane, any updates on Fellaini? Now, Fellaini did return against Chelsea. I'm not sure if he played for Belgium during the international break, but Fellaini will be fit to face Newcastle. That won't be a problem. We've got Bakary watching from Finland. How you doing? Finland's a new one as well. We've got David Wilkinson. We'll wrap up on this comment saying, I feel sorry for Phil Jones. So injury prone, and I think we have to replace both him and Chris Smalling. I hope Lindelof does come good soon, as I don't trust him at the moment, but there's hope. Vidic and Evra both had a tough life to start at Old Trafford. Great comment there, David, and I agree with everything you said there. I think now probably is the time to say goodbye to Chris Smalling and replace him. And it depends on what happens this season with Phil Jones, but if he continues in the same form of playing well, momentum, injury, playing well, momentum, injury, then the summer is the right time to say goodbye to Phil Jones as well. When we both signed them after they played for England under 21s in the Euro 2011, I was so hyped. We had Vidic, we had Ferdinand, we had Evans, we had Smalling, we had Jones. We had a great set of centre-backs. Jones and Smalling just haven't been able to kick on in the same exciting way they started. So I do think that if Jones can't stay fit, selling both this summer would be the right thing. And I absolutely agree, back Victor Lindelof. Vidic and Evra did both have a bad start to their careers at Manchester United, but they both turned out fantastically well. Lindelof seems to play well for Sweden, but it's just at Man United that he's still a bit nervous, still a bit getting used to time. And at Manchester United, and it happens with some players who come in from foreign leagues, some players settle straight away. Some players take a little bit longer. And as a defender, it's tougher because if you make a mistake, it invariably leads to a goal. So the margins of errors and of forgiveness, it's like De Gea, he got slated at the start because most of his mistakes led to goals. But he came round, he came through, he showed grit, showed determination, and he became the best goalkeeper in the world. Now, Jose Mourinho doesn't typically make mistakes when he signs centre-backs. Fingers crossed he hasn't made a mistake with Victor Lindelof, and I will back him to do well at the club still. Thank you all for your comments in today's MUFC Daily. Going to wrap it up there. We'll be here tomorrow as always, and we've got build-up to the Newcastle game coming later this week. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you drop a like on that page. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel and join in the UPTV gang. Until tomorrow, take it easy.